What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is August 25th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to dive into 4 key altcoins that I think everyone should be keeping an eye on when it comes to the crypto market. And I not only want to talk about why I fundamentally like these projects and what they're doing in the sense of the value that they're creating, but also talk about the technical price action and how they've generally been outpacing the market. So we've got lots of things to discuss throughout the video, but I do want to share a quick update with you all that we just launched a new social media and marketing role for Digifox, the company that I founded within the crypto industry. So if you guys happen to have any experience in social media or marketing and maybe are looking to take that step into the cryptocurrency industry, feel free to check out the Google form down below in the description of the video where you guys can apply. It should take no more than 5 to 7 minutes. And it also has a general description on the job role if it sounds of interest to you guys. So feel free to apply. We'd love to hear from you guys and see if we can find a fit for you at the Digifox team. All right. Enough of this. Let's go ahead and cut to the chase here and talk about the first key altcoin on our watch list. The first one I want to talk about today is a project that I'm not only advised on since as far back as 2018. It was the first project I ever decided to work with. But outside of this as well is one of the most time-tested enterprise plays in the blockchain space. And that's no other than Unibright. Now, Unibright has not only been heavily outpacing the market, but outside of that as well, it has some really exciting fundamental developments. But before we dive into those newer fundamental developments, I want to take a step back because Unibright is the longest standing project out of the 3 we're going to be talking about today. And I think it deserves a little bit of context for those of you who may be hearing about Unibright for the first time or need a refresher on the project. Unibright launched back in the depths of the bear market in the spring of 2018. After we had clearly seen the market starting to trickle down and there was still so much noise within the crypto space, Unibright was one of the few projects that was actually building something really exciting. There was a general problem at the time that enterprise companies wanted to actually utilize blockchain networks like Ethereum or Hyperledger, and they wanted to deploy smart contracts and find out what kind of value propositions they could reach by utilizing these technologies. The unfortunate reality was that at that time, it was incredibly difficult. There were so many roadblocks to getting started with blockchain and smart contracts. You had generally in this case, if you wanted to build on Ethereum, the need for a Solidity developer, a specified language to specialize in. That generally was going to cost you a couple $100,000 in this case, and was a huge barrier for people who are trying to figure out, okay, well, we have our Solidity developer, we have all this cost we've invested, right? If you've even gotten to that point, what can we do with smart contracts? Are there any templates or proven business models we can utilize? And these were all the problems that Unibright had realized at the time, as well as many more. And that's why they built the Unibright framework, which was a suite of 4 unique products that helped to streamline actually creating and crafting smart contracts, as well as deploying it on a variety of layer 1 protocols and being able to get insightful, valuable analytics through the Unibright Explorer to actually see how those smart contracts that have been deployed are being utilized, what state they're at, etc. Right? This was originally what Unibright built back in 2018, and to me it was one of the really interesting projects, the first projects that actually excited me in the enterprise blockchain space. But they didn't stop there during this time when so many projects were leaving the space, so many projects were giving up on their visions. Unibright kept chugging forward and learning from any types of failures or mistakes they made along the way. They went out to build a new platform that got people really excited as STOs were all the buzz back in 2019. The free equity platform, their 360-degree security token offering platform to allow for compliant security token offerings. They continued to build all these different projects, and it's led them up to the point where they're now developing something known as Base Ledger. Originally, one of the first key implementations of the Baseline protocol. Now, the Baseline protocol, just to kind of provide a bit of context here, can get a little bit overwhelming at first. It takes some time to get some context around it. The Baseline protocol, the Baseline framework, is a framework that enterprise companies can utilize in order to actually not only communicate in a compliant way, it's GDPR compliant, but also be able to interact with one another and do business transactions. Now, the thing was that at the time when the Baseline standard or framework was created, the problem that came about is that there was no way for people to really do this on the Ethereum blockchain, or at least do it in a streamlined way. When you have high network fees, congestion on the network, low throughput on transactions, it just doesn't make sense for this type of business activity and enterprise blockchain to be done on Ethereum, plain and simple. So that's why the Unibright team, alongside with Provide and a variety of other partners within the enterprise blockchain space, have worked under the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance to build Base Ledger. A base ledger is going to be a framework, an actual, what I like to call, or almost claim, as a layer 2, in this case, on the Ethereum blockchain and other networks out there within the crypto space to actually do the day-to-day business transaction that you just simply can't do in a cost-effective manner on-chain, nor can you do in a compliant way. Right? There's a lot of different things that prevented enterprise from actually going from proof of concept in the crypto space to an actual product deployment. You'll see so many companies, so many projects in the crypto space saying we did X, Y, and Z, right? We built this product and stuff. But a lot of them don't get past the proof of concept phase because of all these small bottlenecks that, again, the Unibright team has been finding out the hard way in this case. They've been going through, and unlike other projects, figuring out where these weakness points are. So there's a lot of major things here that Unibright does right with the base ledger protocol, but there's a really good comparison chart here from the lowered cost per transaction, from the amount of transaction throughput, and also the major accolades here such as data compliance with GDPR, the right to be forgotten on transactions, integrations with enterprise systems or ERP systems, support for fiat currencies, and outside of that as well, multi-chain coordination. So a lot of major accolades here to keep in mind that are going to allow Base Ledger to be a major player within the enterprise blockchain space and potentially the leading framework for that industry. But what's really cool about it is that the UBT token is at the center of it all. There's a really nice chart here that showcases how interactions will happen throughout the Base Ledger protocol and how UBT in this case is utilized as a stakeable currency within this network. It's going to add a lot of demand and value proposition, in my opinion, for UBT. And even though I have a bit of a bias in this case, I've been working with the project for a long time. I think that there are no other players out there in enterprise blockchain. It's not even my major focus, as I would say that I'm more focused or aligned in the DeFi space, but it makes total sense on a surface level in this case, just understanding the base concept around it and being able to actually streamline enterprise communication and a framework for enterprises to communicate with one another within the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. So let's go ahead and actually talk a little bit here about the UBT to BTC pair. On a technical basis, guys, UBT was one of the few major recoveries from back in 2018. You can see here that you've got this range of support here that UBT is holding on, not only a significant range back here in May during the first weekly candle, but you can see there's support here, support here, support here as well, multiple retests here after the first major breakout against Bitcoin, and an ascending channel, which is not only a bullish pattern here, but we've not only done that, we've broken through the ascending channel here on UBT. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the technicals and price action, guys, because for me, I think UBT is something that you don't really want to watch here within a day or weekly time frame. It's something for the long term. It's a long-term hold, in my opinion. And I think that it's a very interesting project within the small mid-cap range for enterprise blockchain, which, yeah, maybe isn't all the buzz compared to NFTs or some of these kind of shorter-term hype trends in the market. But I think that Unibright has nailed down its niche within the crypto space, and it's a pretty big niche at that. So again, I highly recommend you guys keep up to date with what's going on with some of the major partnerships that Unibright has got with companies like Kona, which is the North American aggregate company that helps to manage all the different corporate brands under Coca-Cola and making sure that they actually communicate and align with one another. So it's a very, very interesting product on a fundamental basis. More and more exciting personally to me than the technical price action. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about the second project here today, and it's actually a combination of two cryptocurrencies. It's no other than Radium and Serum. Now, some of you have possibly heard about these projects before. You guys might have heard about these if you're familiar with the Solana ecosystem. But the rest of the focus of this video is going to be talking about emerging layer 1 protocols. Similar to how UBT is building its almost own network or layer 2 solution with Base Ledger, we also want to focus on other types of emerging plays within other layer 1 ecosystems. And now we're going to be diving into specifically focusing in on DEX plays, similar to how we talked about previous in our video about the Cardano ecosystem. Solana, on the other hand, has been one of the major upcoming plays that still is, as much as it's one of the higher growth ones and it's come up into the top around 10 to 15 plays, it's still one of the more kind of speculative layer 1 plays that still hasn't gotten the grounding such as Ethereum. But it is seeing a lot of growth. And I think what we want to focus on rather than just investing in SOL, the native token of Solana, is focus on some of the other plays that are building different types of dApps within the ecosystem. And Radium and Serum are two of those plays that are tightly knit together. So I don't want to spend too much time complicating because it does take a little bit of time to understand how Radium and Serum can kind of build off one another. They are separate cryptocurrencies, But I want to talk again about generally their functionality. They are major gateways into the DeFi ecosystem, predominantly focused on automated market making or decentralized exchanges within the Solana ecosystem. So if you actually want to go ahead, you can launch the app, you can use it today, you can swap between a variety of different tokens, and even some tokens you're familiar with that usually are under an ERC20 standard, similar to kind of Binance Smart Chain. So you can, again, start to tokenize these different cryptos and move them over. So for example, if I have some USDC, and I want to go ahead and trade to, let's say Chainlink, for example, I can go ahead and make a $10,000 trade. Price impact is going to be minuscule in this case, 0.2%. I can see the minimum received. It's just like Uniswap here. And I can also set slippage tolerances here. So it'll prevent the trade from going through. Now, the really great thing about this, and the same with Serum as we'll dive into, is that these automated market makers or liquidity providers within the crypto space offer a much more scalable and cost-efficient way to be able to make swaps. And it also comes with the liquidity. So we take a step back here. Radium's got a little under $1 billion. Maybe we can refresh the page. It sometimes changes a little bit depending on market price and who has what deposit in the protocol. So it's about the same, but nearly about $1 billion in liquidity. And this is on par with layer 2 solutions like Polygon and offers the layer 1 settlement finality, as well as a little bit more security versus what you get with something like Polygon, right? So again, lots of trading volume here, $8.3 to $8.4 billion in total trading volume, a lot to showcase for so far. And you can also interact with the traditional trading interface. You got a much better interface, to be fair, than what you get with Uniswap or Uniswap Info. And I'll say that as a big Uniswap holder and investor, just generally a better interface here, more familiar to traders with order book functionality. That's an important thing to keep in mind as we dive into the topic around Serum. Now, Serum, if you guys want to think about it, is the core, from my understanding, and again, if you guys are big fans of Serum in this case, or want to correct me, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But my understanding here is that Serum is kind of the central order book or liquidity for the overall Solana ecosystem. It is the core area where you've got order book functionality, you've got liquidity within the overall Solana ecosystem for people to be able to trade from one to another. And other applications can pull from Serum in this case if they need to tap into that liquidity and build new interfaces, new applications, new ways to use that liquidity, etc. Right? So if you're interested in investing in the Solana ecosystem, which I think right now is around a $9-10 billion circulating supply market cap, we've got a ton of plays already established that have market share and lead for these different ecosystems, Serum and Radium being those plays. And on the share price aspect of things, what's really nice is that they're still at a nice discount comparative to where they were, more than half off compared to where they were back in May during the hype of the last run-up in the market. And even though they're a bit higher from where they were back here during the bottom of the bear market, not so much the bear market, I apologize, the correction we saw in the market, it still is at a very cheap discount, and a lot of plays have gone up since then, right? The general market has moved up. But it's important to note that in Bitcoin terms, this is really starting to showcase some strength and has still some room to go back to the previous all-time highs, but also has probably room to go beyond that. That's the idea here for investing in Radium, as well as Serum here. You can see the exact same kind of pattern here, a nice recovery in Bitcoin terms as the altcoin market has picked back up. It's still room to go before it revisits those previous all-time highs and possibly breaks out to, or previous relative highs, and even possibly sets new all-time highs against Bitcoin. Nice discounts here across the board as the market has been pulling back, so these are some plays I'm going to be watching. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here, still on this topic of layer 1 competitors and the projects building inside of them that many people still aren't focusing on, is talking about the AMM and the Avalanche ecosystem, or AVAX token. Now, you guys know Avalanche is, you probably heard about it as of recent, or you've heard about it for the last couple months, as Avalanche, project founded by Emin Gunsier, who's a very long-term advocate in the crypto space. This is his child, in this case, his project that he's brought into the space, a much more scalable layer 1 that's much more cost efficient and is building its own DeFi ecosystem. And one of its biggest projects that's been announced for some time is Pangolin, right? Now, Pangolin in this case is, again, an automated market maker. It allows you to interact and swap between different types of assets liquidly throughout the Avalanche network. We can see here that Pangolin, even though it had a pretty big decline here down to around $1 from its previous peak of $4, we've now had a near cup and handle reversal. It looks like we might have the handle formula here and then continue the rally. But in Bitcoin terms, this has really started to pick up here. Now, I understand, again, people are very hesitant to buy in at all-time highs in this case. But to be honest, guys, the market cap here is only around $90 million in the circulating supply. And that's really what matters here. That's what we want to focus on. The market cap to TVL ratio, Very cheap. Very, very, very cheap here. Okay? So a very good amount of total value locked up. Got around $365 million in liquidity, around $4 billion in volume. And you can see here the 24-hour volume for a variety of different cryptocurrencies or tokens within the Avalanche ecosystem. Many of them wrapped tokens from the traditional cryptocurrency ERCs that we're used to trading, but also as well some unique tokens within the Avalanche ecosystem. Now, again, I think that a lot of these plays here are early on, but I think that they're nice hedges against the potential reality that Ethereum might not be the only chain long-term that people utilize. Again, a lot of it's speculative, it's early on, and I'll be honest with you guys in the sense of Pangolin, as well as Radium and Serum in this case. I don't have any exposure to these yet, but I'm keeping them on my radar overall for these different plays within the crypto market. I think that there are some interesting layer one exposure plays outside of the Ethereum ecosystem that could be good if we're still bullish on DeFi, but possibly outside of Ethereum. So that's it for today's video, guys. I've rambled on enough. If you like this video, drop a like. And if there's a project that I missed that you guys think is interesting, feel free to drop it down below in the comments, but tell why you like it. Give me a couple reasons. Why do you like it in the sense of its fundamentals, what it's doing, how does it stand out against other projects? We can only grow together as an ecosystem, guys, and I'm really excited to hear about what you guys are watching out there. So with that being said, everyone, thank you all so much for watching and letting me ramble on as per usual, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.